Hey guys, my name is Luke Starkey, AMS 430. Today I'm going to be talking to you guys about stress. Stress is something that we all deal with, whether or not it's in the workplace. It's defined as a reaction that individuals have to demands being placed on their minds and bodies, affecting their capacity for coping and resulting in changes in their physical, psychological, and behavioral performance. It's a non-specific response to your stimulus. So stress occurs in your everyday life, good or bad. Good stress is called eustress, and whether or not it's psychological or physical, um, it is positive, and your cognitive response to stress, this stress is actually healthy for you. There's different components of stress. One, going in depth about the stressors itself. There's three different kinds: of physical stressor, there's an environmental stressor, and a psychological stressor. The physical, for example, would be something like rapid dieting or under eating. People can gain weight or lose weight. Any physical type of injury, diseases, smoking, excessive drinking, junk food, and anything like that. An example for environmental would be like your alarm clock going off in the morning, extreme temperatures, any noise, crowding, colors, lights, bugs, anything in the environment. Psychological happens when you're under pressure, or having difficulty coping with a certain situation, like when your coach is yelling at you, or they're taking you out of a game or something. So those are what those are. Another component of stress is appraising a stressor. People have to acknowledge that if the situation they're dealing with is actually a real stressor or not. And lastly, the third component is a response to stress. One of the responses I wanted to talk about was a fight-flight response. A fight-flight response is also called the acute stress response. It's a physiological reaction that occurs in response to an attack or a tragic event that is a threat to survival. Basically, it's an increase in adrenaline that affects how people are reacting to different kinds of stress. What are some different causes of stress? Well, depending on the individual, they can react differently to similar situations. For example, during Hurricane Andrew, the high winds leveled two of these neighbors' houses, but no one had died. A news reporter interviewed both of the middle-aged dads who both had families who were standing in front of the slabs that were once their homes, that they don't have anything left standing. And then one of the guys was crying and talking about he was sad that he had lost everything that he had worked his whole entire life for, while the other one was calm and he expressed his thanks that everyone in his family was safe, and that no one got hurt. So this same stressor, for two different types of people, they reacted different. Working conditions can also cause stress. The physical environment of where you're working can either decrease or increase your stress. If you're working on a construction site during the August heat or with loud equipment all around you, that may bother your productivity and may affect your stress levels. But as opposed to like working in an office with air conditioning, so you got different increases and decreases depending on the physical environment. The characteristics of the task can also be another condition. It could be difficult to work with. Say you're doing a very tedious job that takes 5 hours, typically like factory work and assembly line. You're doing the same thing over and over. Or it could be something that you have to be very careful with, like electrical wiring, if you have a lot of wires to work with. It could be anything like that you got to be patient and take your time with. That also takes a long duration to get done. So we've got all these stresses. So how do we cope with them? There's different effects of stress from all these different stresses. One being weight gain, and people sometimes deal with stressful situations by eating to reduce their anxiety. Typically, people turn to high-fat comfort foods because no one's going to eat a carrot when they're not feeling good. Some people get the best of them, and then they become depressed because of their weight gain. It can also affect your cognitive impairment. This is like your lack of sleep, poor diet, or even anxiety and depression. The lack of sleep, it can affect you and make you feel fatigued and tired. There's memory problems. impair their decision making, and there's a whole bunch of different stuff. So you know how they always say that stress is the real killer? Well, it's because of it causes cardiovascular disease and increase in high blood pressure whenever you're exposed to a stressful situation. So if you're exposed to a stressful situation, you're acting angrily or you're being hostile and being aggressive about the situation, that blood pressure is going to increase your risk of stroke or cardiac arrest. Aside from the increase in blood pressure, some people just resort to smoking or drinking excessively and to relieve stress, and that right there in itself increases with the high blood pressure, and you're furthering your chances even more of getting stroke or anything like that. So it's very important to learn how to manage your stress and learning how to relax. Just make sure you're staying organized and keep track of your projects or deadlines by making a list of what's urgent and what's not. Don't procrastinate. Use a planner to plan out your day or week. Sometimes breaking a larger project into small steps can help if it's applicable in certain situations. Learn to say no. Whenever your supervisor asks you something, asks you to do something, repeatedly, sit down with them. Don't come at them with aggression, but let them know that you already have so many things going on. And if you were to say yes, you're just creating stress for yourself, trying to get everything done within a certain time period. Focusing kind of seems like it might create stress, but by doing one thing at a time and focusing on one thing at a time, you're getting things done a lot quicker, and rather than having to alternate between two different projects and think about what's going on with the other project, or what am I going to have to do with this one. If you do one at a time and focus on it, then you're going to be more efficient with your time and productivity. Limit your potential distractions and interruptions. Ask your coworkers to give you a block of time when you're not disturbed, when a time you know that you'll have free time throughout your day. So also, you've got to make sure you take care of yourself. Sometimes the different technologies you work with at work, like your laptop or your cell phone, if you're always on call, that could get in the way of your leisure time. So maybe just turn that off when you're with your family and friends. Relax. Sometimes that can, whenever you see your phone pop up and you see an email or something from your job and you're out golfing, that kind of puts it's a downer while you're out trying to have a good time. Also, reward yourself. If you finish a difficult task, celebrate. It could be something small, like having a snack at your desk after a 2 or 3 hour report that you had to get done. It was tedious and you didn't want to do it. Or it could be like you just go home, put on the game, kick your feet up, that kind of thing. And if you spend every second of your day getting things done, you may regret not having any time for yourself. And as silly as it sounds, practicing your breathing and relaxation techniques, it could be a class like yoga, meditation, or whatever you want to do. It can really help you throughout the day. So thank you guys, and I hope this helped.